Hello, friends. It's me, Anjuli, and today I wanted to talk to you about finding yourself in your 20s and how I'm finding myself in my 20s because my 20s are actually almost over. So I wanted to talk to any of my fellow lost wanderers about how I've been able to maneuver finding myself in my 20s. So, one of the biggest things in my own personal journey that I really had to overcome was codependency. And codependency is something that was instilled in me before I was even an adult. It's something that it's most often linked to children of parents who may be addicts or parents who aren't emotionally mature or, just if you feel like you were a child who your parents had to lean on for whatever reason, you probably might have some codependent tendencies. And actually, if you would like a book, it's called Codependent No More by Melody Beattie. I'll also link that down below. So one of the issues I had with codependency was boundaries and setting boundaries and then committing to myself. I was amazing at being invested and helping. I used to call myself a professional helper, and sometimes I still fall back into that. It's not that I made a living off of helping, but I pretty much survived off of helping other people and being that crutch for other people. And majority of my 20s was spent doing that. In trying to find myself, I realized that first off, you are not responsible for anyone else. Everybody else in your life is a grown up. Your friends, your lovers, your parents, whoever, you are not responsible for them. They are responsible for themselves. If they mess up, it has nothing to do with you. And it was really, really hard for me to internalize that because I felt like if I was really supporting somebody, or if I was somebody's true friend or whatever, I would have to help them. I would have to guide them to the fullest of my extent. And I felt like that undying loyalty was what made me valuable, when that's not what makes me valuable. That's not what makes you valuable. What makes you valuable is just you being you and you being present as you. And so I had to start instilling boundaries. I have to start saying no. And to be honest, I'm still not fully comfortable saying no, but oh my gosh, in saying no, my life has just gotten a whole lot better. And being present in myself and committing to saying no, I don't want to do that, or I don't want you to do that, or I don't want you to do that to me. It's such a small thing, but it has really shifted the way my relationships have worked, because a lot of my relationships became very parasitic. I needed them and they needed me, because there was a point where we were just reliant on each other for each other's survivals in a lot of my relationships. And if that's something that you find that you struggle with, it's because you don't have enough boundaries in place and you need to establish boundaries. In becoming less codependent, I've also been able to, it allows me to come more into my own and realize that, like, okay, just because they're acting a certain way, whether that's good or bad, doesn't mean that I have to act that particular way. I can actually stand alone on myself, because I've noticed also with codependency, you have a habit of just mirroring a lot of people, whether that's intentional or not. And there's a whole thing about mirroring personalities and what have you, but it was very hard for me to have an established sense of self, because myself always relied on whoever I was around and whatever situation I was in. There's being adaptable, which is perfectly great and fine and acceptable, but then there's being codependent. And I had to really, really nip that in the bud and say, I can stand alone and I can go against the grain and still be me and be a person. I don't have to do things just because other people around me are doing them. And like I said, that book, really, the book that I mentioned earlier, really, really helped me with this codependent aspect. I don't want to say I don't deal with it as much anymore, because I think it's one of those things where you just kind of deal with it for the rest of your life, but I am at least more aware of it and I'm able to tackle it more head on more these days. So the next thing I had to do to really find myself and become in tune with myself, and this comes from being out of a narcissistic relationship. I was in a relationship with somebody who is an addict and also a narcissist, and I fell out of love with myself. I already had this codependent thing, and then I added this on top of it, and it was really, really hard for me to find love with myself. So I really had to take some time and prioritize self-love. For me, self-love included doing things for myself for no reason. It included finding ways to just enjoy my own company without needing other people or other stimuli around. And then obviously sexual liberation. So I guess we'll just start from the beginning. There's doing things for yourself for no reason. I am somebody who felt like everything I wanted to do and everything that I wanted to pursue had to have a purpose. And if I didn't deserve it or earn it, or there was no purpose behind it, then it wasn't something that I should have or should do for myself, which is wrong. You deserve things like rest, okay? I don't include rest in self-love, but that's basic care for yourself. And if you love yourself, you should do basic things for yourself, like resting, feeding, having dessert every once in a while. I felt like these were all things I had to earn. I felt like I wasn't allowed to sleep because, I didn't make X amount of money in a particular day, which is just how I was functioning like that for so many years. I do not understand, and that definitely makes sense as to isn't nature just great? It definitely makes sense, though, why I was going so out of my mind all the time, because I was just depriving myself of basic things. But even, just fun, nice things. I would tell myself I didn't deserve my dreams because I was not working, the same way that other people were. I didn't finish my degree. I didn't do X, Y, Z. But the truth is, you don't have to. You can just do things simply because you want to or because they're gonna make you happy. But yeah, you don't have to earn the right to take care of yourself or make yourself feel good. That is absolutely a false idea that's been perpetuated and fed to us for long enough. You're allowed to just do things because you just want to do them. Another thing that I really, really had to get accustomed to, and everybody should get accustomed to, is just finding ways to enjoy yourself alone. I was definitely that girl that would have to call people if she was by herself. I'd be like, can you stay on the phone with me? Can you come over? Can I come over there? Do you want to just hang out and drink? I was that person. I'm like, what is that song? Chandelier by Sia. I'm the one for a good time call phone blowing up, ringing my doorbell. I needed to constantly feel like there was love around me because I didn't have enough love for myself. And that was probably one of the harder things, aside from, the therapy that I had to go through. But that was probably one of the harder things for me to get past, was the fact that you have to enjoy spending time with just yourself. It is super important for you to enjoy your own solitude and find comfort in yourself. And it's not because you're the only one you got in this world. I genuinely think that that's some weird, toxic mindset, because you need a community. You have to have a community of some sort. But I do think that it is very, very important that you love yourself and embody yourself enough that you don't have to rely on your community for that love all the time, because things happen, people happen, life happens, breakups happen, friend breakups happen, things happen, people pass away, but as long as you're consistent in your love for yourself, or try to remain consistent, because it's unrealistic that you're gonna love yourself the same all the time, but as long as you can remain somewhat consistent in your love for yourself, I think it makes having a community all that more better. It's nicer to just want people around than to have to constantly need them. It's okay to need people once in a while, but I think it's nice to just have a want for people majority of the time. And so some of the ways that I've found it nice to just enjoy my own company is, really just I've gotten into wine. Everybody knows I love my wine. So I drink my wine and I listen to music and I just dance and I do all the things that I thought I needed people around for, but I could just do it myself. And it's honestly just as nice, especially now that I'm embodying that love for myself, now that I'm taking care of myself the way that I would want other people to take care of themselves or take care of me. The combination, because all of the stuff stacks up together, the combination of that makes it much easier for me to enjoy myself. And then the final thing is definitely, it's not risque, but it's definitely risque on the internet, is my sexual liberation, and I include that in self-love because I think that it's important that you get yourself off. It's important. For a minute, for a while, I just stopped. I stopped viewing myself as a sexual creature. I stopped viewing myself as a person that enjoyed any sort of pleasure. I just said, yeah. And I, 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 I can tell now just how detrimental that was for me then. At the time, I didn't think anything of it, but now I see why that was not the move, because actually the reason why I'm much more creative and I'm much more happy and I'm much more blissful is because we're just airing everything out today. But I mean, it's an important part. And I think your 20s especially, we get into these relationships because that was part of my downfall, was the fact that I spent majority of my 20s trying to be in love and find relationships, and instead of focusing on me, I was focusing so much on other people that I didn't prioritize myself and I didn't prioritize my own needs. So a lot of the times, even in sexual situations, I mostly only saw the other person. I never really I saw how could I make this a better experience for them. And I never thought about the opposite, how they could make that a good experience for me. I never spoke up. I never said I like this, I like that. I never did anything like that. Everything was centered around other people. Nothing was centered around me and my love and what I deserve. And that's, I was saying earlier, one of the greatest pieces of advice that I can give anybody in their 20s, is I don't focus on finding love. I don't think this is the time that love is the most important thing, because who you're with, you might think that they are blowing your mind and they are the greatest person ever, but there are literally millions of people on this planet. You could find another one. And it's not to say people are replaceable, but honestly, they kind of are to a degree. And it's okay. It's not a bad thing. It's okay. Actually, that's a great thing, because that means that you don't have to bank your life on anybody, and you shouldn't. I did that, and it set me and my self-love and my own journey to finding myself back so much, because I did treat people like they were the one and only I was ever going to find. And that's not a way to live ever, but especially in your 20s. Your 20s, go have fun, So, yeah, get freaky with yourself or with other people, but mostly yourself. So the other thing that I had to do, or I guess, I don't know, do and stop doing in my journey of finding myself, was to stop living in the past or the future and just become more present with my current situation. Once again, we're going back to therapy. Therapy helps a lot. I was not my greatest when I was younger, when I was in my early 20s, and I harbored a lot of bad feelings about that. And I harbored a lot of guilt. And I had to go to therapy to get through that, because it was holding me back. It was making it really hard for me to form new relationships. It was making it harder for me to live in the present and the future, because I was just so stifled by this ugliness, or what I felt like this ugliness, which honestly, I'm going to tell you right now, if you're feeling any type of way about who you were in your early 20s, I want you to know that everybody was a shit in their early 20s. Every single person. Nobody was a great person in their early 20s, because you're kind of unhinged and left to your own devices for the first time ever in your life, and you just don't know what you're doing. And there's a lot of stuff that you're gonna have come to the surface. There's some, mental disorders. There are, familial traumas that are going to come up. Like there's just a lot of stuff that starts to surface in your early 20s. And also you're still developing a lot in your early 20s. So try not to feel bad about who you were. But I had to get through that. I had to start allowing myself to live in the here and now and stop feeling so much regret about what I was and what I wasn't, because it just holds you back, like point blank period. It just holds you back. I also had a hard time because I would romanticize the future. I would always be what is it? It's called maladaptive daydreaming or whatever. I would always think about, well, I can't wait until I get to this point in my life. I can't wait until this stuff is happening. My life is going to be so much better when that happens for me. And for me, that was a coping mechanism because I was always in these terrible relationships, to be honest. Like I was always in these terrible places that I didn't want to be, but I was trapped in and I didn't know how to get out. And so I would just dream of getting out and what my life would look like when I got out, or what my life would look like if I had to stay there, but maybe a couple tweaks could be made. It was like I was constantly just trying to get out of my current situation because my current situation just felt so bleak. As someone whose current situation isn't amazing, it's also like I've just come to accept it is what it is and what will be will be. And that's kind of how I live. I'm just like, there's only so many things I could do right now that are within my control. So like, that's all I can focus on. I can't focus on, one day having a nice house and maybe being a freelance. That could happen, and I would love for that to happen, but really all I could do is focus on right now, and that's just, all right, make art. That's it. That's all I can focus on. I can't really focus on that future aspect, and that's okay. Because if there's one thing that we've learned in this, the past 2 years at this point, is that the future definitely is not guaranteed and it is not promised. And why stress or dwell or feel some type of way about that when you only have right now? And that really has helped me figure out my life and figure out who I am, because I can't just like dream of one day, becoming a famous artist or something. But then right here, right now, I just like do nothing but only dream of being a famous artist. That's not really how any of that stuff works. You have to actually do stuff. And so if I start art now and then come to find out I don't even like it, then I'm definitely not gonna be a famous artist. So that's a stupid dream to have anyway. So like, I can't worry about future me because I only have me right now, and I have to focus and be in love and at least accept who I am right now and the things I like to do and the person that I am, and just really, really give time and space for who I am right now in this current moment. And then the biggest thing that I had to do was to finally make a commitment, because I am the absolute worst at making commitments to anything, because I'm always like, but what if that, what if this, does this deserve that kind of, I'm super great at making commitments to literally nothing. That's the one thing I am committed to. And I had to finally make a commitment to myself. And it's hard because it is super easy to get distracted when you put everything else in front of it and you don't have those things in place, like the codependent issue. If you're not committed to yourself and you're still codependent, like, you're going to be more committed to other people. If you don't have self-love for yourself or don't know how to express that to yourself, it's hard to be committed to something you don't love. If you are too in the future or too in the past, it's hard to be committed to who you are presently. You have to get all those other building blocks in place, and then you are finally able to say, I am committed to myself and my journey. And that also means accepting the parts when sometimes you get off track, because there are times like this video, it's going to come out late and I wanted to do 2 videos a week. And at first I was like really, really harping on myself for that and saying, well, I don't deserve to do this and that. But the one thing about dreams is dreams don't happen because of, one great thing or one super bad thing. That's not how dreams work. They happen because of an accumulation of things. You know, every single day you work hard on something. Every single day you put steps in place. And I have to be committed to myself enough to take those steps and to be there for myself when I don't take those steps. So this video, I'm not going to just write this week off. I'm committed to myself enough to go, well, we could still put out a video. It's literally just the beginning of the week when I'm filming this. We could still do this. Like, it's not over. You have to be committed to you, yourself, and your journey, and not let anything else derail you from that. You have to focus on yourself, which is why I said earlier, things like being in love is so nice. But number one, it's not the most important thing to find your future spouse or whatever in your 20s. It's just literally not. There are millions of people on this planet. But also, number two, there are so many ways to receive love. And I hate that we are so focused on only romantic love, because then we completely just miss out on the self-love, the friend love, the more than friends, but not quite, we're getting married loves, because I love those loves. Those are some of my more fonder loves. The parental love, the familial love, like there's so many forms of love out there. The romantic having babies love is not the most important. It is nice to have that if that's what you're looking for, but it is not the most important thing, and it's certainly not the most important thing in your 20s. The most important thing you can do is get all these blocks in place and then commit to yourself. So how did I find myself in my 20s, or how am I finding myself in my 20s? These 4 things, okay? I got my codependency under control. I got my self-love. I got nothing but love for myself. I am fully present and accepting of where I am, and I'm committed to just this journey of me, and that is it. That is all I need, and that is how I feel the most fulfilled. That is how I've been feeling the most, I don't even know how to describe it, bliss, you know. I hope that this video helps you out. Please feel free to leave comments down below asking me anything. Please just stay happy and healthy out there, and you know, the world is definitely open, and where I am, we are definitely ratchet and spreading this virus, so please wear your mask, and I will talk to you all soon. I absolutely love and adore you, my babes, and bye.